What's going on, guys? Balkan Architect here, and I was thinking, when you go to Google and you try to search for something, and when you start typing, Google kind of tries to offer you the result. So basically, it's taking the most common searches and then it's offering that to you, hoping that that's what you're looking for, as that's what most people are looking for. So I thought, why not type in Revit how to and then see what are the most searched Revit topics, or what are the most searched Revit problems. And well, there are some problems, and I decided to create a whole video where I'm going to be explaining all of these top searches. I did the same thing both on YouTube and on Google, just to see what you guys search for, and I thought I would make a tutorial on that, or on those topics, answering those questions. Now, the most common question is how to make transparent windows or transparent glass facade in your elevation views, which is a problem with Revit. Revit makes them solid, and that's not really how it looks. Now, that's really a complex and a cool question, so I thought that would deserve its own kind of dedicated video, and that will be coming up as the next video that I upload. But for now, let's answer the rest of these, as they are usually just a short, quick answer, so it's a fun little video. Now, before we get into that, I would just like to say, if you're interested in maybe a beginner course, I have a whole 16-hour beginner to intermediate stage course. So if you're getting started with Revit and would like to have the ability to complete your own projects, well, I have a course for that, and it's on my website, balkanarchitect.com. Link is going to be in the description, so first link in the description. And also I have there some intermediate and advanced courses as well, a lot of those actually. So check it out if you're interested, and if you want all of my Revit project files, I've got over 400 Revit files on my Patreon. That's going to be the second link in the description. Okay, so with that out of the way, let's get straight into Revit. Okay, so the first most common question is has to do with scope boxes and how to delete them. So I guess people create scope boxes and then don't know how to delete them, but that would be a weird way to start a tutorial. So I'm going to start off by showing you how to create a scope box, and then we can talk about getting rid of it. Now, scope boxes are fairly simple. You can go to something like a ground level or something like that. And then, for example, here in ground level for this project, I'm just going to go to the View tab, and then on the View tab, on the Create panel, here we have the Scope box. So the Scope box allows you to kind of have a little box, so you can just kind of isolate one part of your project. So I'm just going to isolate this part here by placing a scope box like that, and there we go. So now we have this scope box here inside of this floor plan. Now, of course, we can go here into edit views, so you can edit where this is visible and not visible. Do you want to override it or not, and so on and so forth. And of course, if we go into the 3D view, as you can see here, we have that same scope box. It looks, well, like a box, and then you can kind of play around with it a little bit and so on. Now, these are really cool when it comes to creating 3D section views, because if I go here into the properties, as you can see here, we can set this up to a scope box and apply, and as you can see, it will immediately create this 3D section view. Now, this might be a bit problematic because people take a look at this and then they're not sure how to go back, I guess. So in order to get rid of a scope box, the only thing that you need to do is go to your extents here in the view and just go from scope box, whatever the name is, back to none. So let's see. None, and then as you can see, well, nothing happens. It hasn't gone back to the previous version, and the reason for that is because the section box is still active. So if we uncheck the section box, we're back to the original view, and then we can select the scope box, and we can just get rid of it by hitting delete if that's what you want to do. And then you still have the option for the section box, which if you turn on, it will appear just like this as an outside view, and then you can play around with that section box as well to create some other cool sections and so forth. Now, this project, by the way, is just one of the projects that I have for my courses. This was actually a 12-hour course, if I recall, where I show you how to make this complicated building and all of the project documentation that goes along with it. Okay, moving on, let's go to the second question that everybody's searching for, and that's how to create levels in Revit. So, to create levels, let's open up a new project. So I'm just going to go here to the File menu, go to New, and then go to a new project, and for the template let's search for the architectural template. That's okay. Let's click OK and open up a new project. So here, when you go to your project, as you can see, we only have 2 levels. So by default, Revit is usually going to open up a couple of levels when you start off a new project, but as you can see, we don't really have any more. So if you want to create any more levels, you can either go to one of the elevations, or you can go to a section. So here I've created a section and then open that up. And here in this case, the section is only looking at level 1, so we have to expand it a little bit to see a level 2, just like that. And then you can play around with the positioning of levels and the heights of these levels, and also you can add more levels. So for creating levels, just make sure that you're either in an elevation view or a section view, and then you just go here to the datum panel on the architecture tab. So architecture tab, datum panel, and here we have the level command. LL is the shortcut, and then it's simple, just one click here. The second click is here, and as soon as I create that level, as you can see, we have the additional floor plan appear here as well. You can make it structural, you don't have to make it structural, and here we have the option to uncheck the building story. So if you uncheck that, then Revit isn't going to count it as a building story. It's just going to be an additional level, if that's something that you want to have. Also, one quick way of creating multiple levels: when you go here to the level tool, you can use the pick lines tool, and then you can just add your level height. So let's say you want to make levels at each, let's go with 2800 millimeters or 2.8 meters, and then you can just go like this, adding multiple levels. So I've got one more here, and so on and so forth. So that's how you create levels in Revit. Next one is how to change to metric. So this is a common problem, and I have a whole different video where I explain the units in Revit. I'm going to link it up in the description of this video for all of those that are interested in researching this in depth, but simply let's close this project off. Let's not save it, and then I'm going to go to File, New, and then start a new project. And here, as you can see, all of my templates are metric templates. But if you go here to Browse, you can go, and instead of a metric template, you can get an imperial template. So I'm guessing people that are searching for metric templates or for metric units have an imperial template, so that's why all of the units are imperial. So now if I just go here to the, let's go with the default, or maybe commercial default, residential default, let's go with that one, open that up, click OK. There we go. Okay, so here, once this is opened up, something that you're going to notice is that when you start creating elements, they are going to appear with the, of course, the imperial units naturally. And also when you select any of the elements here, the units are going to be imperial. So if you want to change that to metric, what you can do is go here to View, and then, go to Manage, and then go here to Project Units. UN is the shortcut, and then here you can change each of these units by clicking here in the format, and then changing it from these imperial units into something like meters, decimeters, centimeters, millimeters, and so on. So you can change it here really quickly. You can set up the rounding, the symbol if you want, and so on. And if I just click OK, now if I select any of these elements, as you can see, we have this showing in meters, but the families are still in imperial units, in this case in inches. So for all of the families, now this is also, if I go to component, let's see. So as you can see here, all of the dimensions for all of the family types are in imperial units, and if you want to change those, into metric. Unfortunately, there isn't a quick way to change that. You would have to replace all of these families by going to component, maybe load in a new family, and then here you would go to the US metric library. So when you go to libraries, instead of imperial, go to metric, and then here any family that you import from here. So for example, if I go to furniture, let's go to beds, and let's go with a box bed, open that one up. As you can see, now the units for this bed are metric. So I suggest you make sure that when you're choosing the template in the beginning, you choose the correct unit template. So make sure to go with the metric template if you want to use metric units, and go with the imperial template if you want to use imperial units. Okay, so the next question that people are Googling is how to create a family. So creating a family in Revit is not as simple as it sounds, or maybe it's as complicated as it sounds. So it's quite a complicated process, and I have a whole course on that topic. So if you're interested, I'm going to leave the link. The first link in the description is to my course website, and there I have a full, I think it's a 12-hour course on the family editor and how to create families. But just to explain things quickly, if you go here to File and to New, you have the option to create a new family, and then you can choose a template. Now these are really complex, and you should pick out the template according to what you're trying to create. And now, just for demonstration purposes, let's go with a generic model for our generic family. Hit open, and then for this family, you can let's go into the 3D view. Okay, so here you can use any of these kind of standardized modeling tools, so generic modeling tools like extrusions, and then you can basically create whatever you want, and then you can resize it, play around a little bit with it, and so on. Here we can go back. Okay, let's move it here in the center, and there we go. We have our family. So once you're happy with the way that your family looks, of course, you should add probably a lot more complexity. But anyways, once you're happy with the family, you can just load it back into your project. Let's load it here. And as you can see, you can place that family. You can place it multiple times. And if we go into the 3D view, there we go. This is the family that we have created. So it's just a simple family. It's called family 1 because it's the first family that we have created, but you get the point. So that's how you create families in Revit. Next is the question of how to change a family category. So I guess that's kind of continuing on of the same topic. So I'm guessing that people are searching for this because they already have an existing family, but it's in a wrong category. So what does that mean? Whenever you select a family here, the category is going to appear in the properties panel underneath the family type. So here, as you can see, it says generic models 1. If I select all 3 of these cubes, it's going to say generic models 3 because these are 3 families. If I select this wall, it's going to be a wall. And then if I go to component and place something else, let's add a dishwasher here, and then let's add a chair there. So for example, this chair is categorized as furniture, and this dishwasher is categorized as specialty equipment. So the category for the family can be edited inside of the family editor. So if you select your family and then go into edit family, here in the properties, so it doesn't really matter which tab you're on. Oops, well, it does, but on most tabs you're going to have this properties panel, and here we have the family types and the family category and parameters. So you probably guessed that this is the one that we need, and here you can pick out a new category. So for this cube, which is currently a generic model, we can just simply change it to something like a door. And Revit doesn't really care, so it's going to allow you to make it in a door, even though it doesn't really resemble a door in any possible way. But if you have it, I guess Revit leaves that up to you to be a responsible Revit user and label things as they should be labeled. But anyways, if I just load this into the project, click OK, and just override the existing versions, if I select these, now these are labeled as doors. So if I were to create a door schedule, it would have a bunch of these weird cubes which are going to get kind of grouped up with doors, which is kind of annoying now that I think about it, but yes, that's what you can do when it comes to these family categories. So that's how you change the category of your family. Now the next question is how to copy things from one project to the other. Now usually this is in situations where you have one project and then you want to, well, you want to copy some elements from an existing project, maybe an old project that you already have, and you have some wall types, you have some families, and you want to reuse that in a new project. So I'm going to be showing you how to do something like that in Revit. So let's say here we have this project which doesn't really have many families loaded in, and then here we have the did I just close it? Okay. And here we have this big, nice project that, well, has a lot of nice families. So one quick way to transfer some of these component families and a lot of things like that, or even system families like walls, is you can just select items, just like this, type in Control-C, go to your other project, type in Control-V, okay, and there we go. So if I just place this here, there we go. We have placed all of our families, and now we have our car, we have our light post, our person, and our wall. Now I can just delete all of these because I don't need them in that order. But now if I just go here to Architecture, go to Component, under my components I should have that car. And here it is. Here we have this Honda Civic sedan, which I copied. And if we go into walls, same thing goes here. So if I just try to find it, there's the structural exterior wall. That's the one we've copied. Now that's for copying simple things like those walls and some components. But you can also copy things that are a bit more complex. And you just need to make sure that you're in the new project, in the one to which you want to copy all of those components. So you basically go here to the Manage tab, and we have the Transfer Project Standards option. And once you click on that, as you can see here, we have the copy from, and in this case, that's the project, the office building in Revit. And then you can just search for, well, whatever you want to copy. So do you want to copy maybe stair types or roof types? You can copy wire sizes, wall types. So a lot of those items that may be a bit too complex to just copy and paste. For example, dimension styles. So you can just check them here. You can go to check none and then just check what you want to use, just like that. Maybe what else do we have here? I think we had some project parameters, project info, print settings, and so on. So you can just click OK, and then it will basically transfer all of those standards from an existing project into your project. So that might save you a little bit of time when it comes to copying things from one project to the other. Next one is how to change color of materials. So this is actually fairly simple and fairly straightforward. For your materials, so for example, if I select this wall, go into Edit Type, go into Structure, go to the material, we have to load in a new material. By default, Revit is going to give you, when it says this by category, that means it's going to give you the default wall material. So if I just type in here default, let's see. So as you can see here, we have the default form, default floor. Do we have default wall? There we go, default wall. So it's just going to use this default color. But you can search for any other material. Let's search for, I don't know, blue. And then you can find whatever is blue, load it in. And then what determines the color of your element is going to be the appearance here. Now keep in mind that this shows you your rendering appearance. So let me explain. So as you can see, this is showing the color as blue. And if I click OK, again, apply, OK, and if I go here into realistic, as you can see, the wall is now blue. But if I go into shaded, it's gray, and then if I go into hidden line, it's white. Now, if I select that wall again, go into Edit Type, go into Structure, go into the material, and now here for graphics we have a couple of additional settings. So here we have the color, which is set to gray, but let's set it to something like green like this. And also we have the surface pattern, which for the foreground we can set to solid fill, which will gonna set up the color, and then for the color we can set it to red and then hit apply. Okay, again, apply. Okay, so that surface pattern, when you set it to solid, is going to change how your material appears in the hidden line view. Now if we switch to shaded, as you can see, some parts of the material appear as green because that's the one that we've set up. So if I go back here, if I select the wall, go back into edit type, go back here into edit structure, go back to the material, and if I just get rid of this solid fill, so no pattern, apply. Okay, now it's just going to be green because that's what the color here in the graphics is set up to. But let's hit apply. Okay, but if we go to realistic, it's going to show you the color that has been set up in that appearance tab. So if we go into edit type and again to the material and then here for the appearance, this is the color that shows in realistic. So if you change this, that's going to change the realistic view. If you change this, that's going to change the shaded view, and this is just going to change pretty much any other view because it's going to kind of override everything and plaster that that solid pattern or whatever you decide to place over that. So that's how changing material colors work in Revit. It's not something that you would want to do just like that. You should probably consult what are some of the rules and regulations and best practices or common practices in your industry or in your region, but that's basically how Revit approaches material color. Okay, moving on. Let's talk about importing DWGs. So to import DWG or AutoCAD files, I'm guessing because a lot of Revit users are coming from AutoCAD, that's really simple. It's not that complicated. I actually have a complicated tutorial where I explain that in depth, and it's actually one of my most viewed tutorials. That's why I'm making this, because it's one of those searched topics. But anyways, so if you go here to the let's see, to the insert tab, there we have the option to either link CAD or to import CAD. But linking means that you won't be able to kind of edit it, but when you edit the original CAD file and then update the link, the changes will apply in Revit. Now import means that you can kind of import it, explode it, do whatever you want, but if you make any changes to that original CAD file, those changes will not transfer into Revit. But anyways, if I just go here to import, you can just go find a CAD file like this CAD detail, and then you can just open it up, and then Revit will open that up. As you can see, it's kind of placed it here in the center of the screen, but as you can see, it's that simple, it's that straightforward. Of course, there are some settings along the way, and for that, I suggest you check out that complete in-depth tutorial, because I don't want to take too long with this kind of overview of the most common Google searches for Revit. And finally, the last one that kind of appeared is how to make a sheet in Revit. So creating sheets is, of course, a very important part, and it's not that complicated. So to create a sheet, you just go here to the project browser, you scroll all the way down, you find sheets. There we go, sheets. Now here, currently this one has a lot of them just because of the template, but if you want to create a new one, you just go here to sheet, you right click, you go to new sheet, and then here you can either use one of the existing title blocks or you can load one in. So to load in a title block, when you're here in the family library, make sure to search for title blocks, and then here we have the metric versions, and of course if you're in the let's see, where's the Imperial Library? Here we go. And in the Imperial Library, here we have title blocks, and here we have the Imperial sizes. So once you load that in, you can select one of those, hit OK, and as you can see here, we have a new sheet, and then you can just kind of place things on that, but keep in mind that your views cannot be placed multiple times. So for example, this floor plan is already placed somewhere. So this one is placed on sheet A1. So if I find here sheet, as you can see, sheet A1, if I delete this view, so if I, let's see, let's open the sheet up. There we go, we have the floor plan, and if I just get rid of that and go to my new floor plan, go to that same floor plan and here place it. As you can see, now this is placed on that sheet. So that's how you create new sheets in Revit, and you can always edit them. If you don't like the title block, you can select the title block itself like this when it highlights in blue. You can go into edit family, and then for example you can just get rid of all of this stuff if you don't need it, don't want it. You can get rid of it, and I actually have a whole kind of how to create a Revit template course in which I explain how to create your personalized title blocks. Actually, I explained that in a couple of my advanced courses because it's such an interested topic, and it can be tackled from different areas. So I think I explained it in the family editor course and the kind of the creating your own Revit template course as well. Okay, so those were the top searches. This video was a little bit long, so congrats if you made it to the end. Thank you for watching. Make sure to subscribe, like, and share this video, and I'll see you with another tutorial in a few days. Have a nice day.